I'm going to give you a nugget here. I really think inspiration's for losers. Yeah.
Explain further.
All right. So, what's up, Brandon?
What's up, Austin? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Doing fantastic.
Let me crack a Red Bull here. What are we talking about today?
Well, I think we were going to dive into the topic of inspiration. And I think the fallacy of that being the most important thing in terms of being motivated.
You know what? I'm going to give you a nugget here. I really think inspiration's for losers. Yeah.
Explain further.
All right. So let me put it to you this way, right? Like, have you ever gone to a motivational speaker, or have you ever gone to like a conference where you got someone that's up there and they're giving their whole spiel on, why you're awesome and feel good emotions, all that stuff?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I've been there.
So what happens three weeks later? I mean, let's back up. You leave the conference. What do you do?
Well, I try to apply it, but I have it fizzles off after a while. I feel like that's the problem.
There you go. So after 3 weeks, the fizzle happens, and you're just like, that was really cool. When you look at inspiration really is a temporary shot of positive dopamine. It's not negative dopamine, but it's a positive dopamine shot into your brain. And then you go back to normal life and you work on it for, a week, couple weeks, and nothing actually, comes of it. So that's, why I say inspiration is for losers, right? What you need to focus on is drive. What is your drive? What makes you wake up every morning saying, what am I going to do? Why am I going to do everything I do today? Let's look at what we're doing with Bump Social and Bump Search. Our drive every day on our entire team is that we want to get up and completely change the way search and social is used by people across the world. We want to flip the economics of it. We want to flip the dopamine effect that's currently being used within standard social media. We want to change all of those things. The other drive is family. You want to do everything you can to give your family a really awesome, cool life or experience, right? And these are just two examples. But what is your drive that gets you up? I'm not shitbagging on motivational speakers or anything. I'm not trying to say what they do is irrelevant and completely stupid, but we have to get real. It's just a temporary shot. It's not what's actually going to push you and drive you to go and do different things. It's no different than your goals for the year. Like, what are your New Year resolution goals? Same concept applies.
Yeah, it's very interesting to think about, like when you look at people like Tony Robbins, for example, or anyone similar that does, motivational talks and speeches, especially when you're there or you're watching the videos or any of the clips or the content that he puts out. It's very moving. But again, it's like down the line, a couple days later, weeks later, months later, it's like the message just doesn't resonate as much with you because it felt like it's again, like you mentioned, a shot of dopamine in the moment.
Unless that person's on the phone with you being like, Brandon, wake your ass out of bed, like, let's keep going. It doesn't work like that. That's not reality, right? You go to the conference, everybody's there, you big group setting, kumbaya, and then you leave, it fizzles. To your point, it fizzles, right? It really goes back to, if you want to be the best version of you, before you decide on what you want to do, you need to establish your drive. What is your drive? What are you trying to do? And why is that drive so important to you? One thing for me, I want to eat healthier, but what is my drive to actually say, I'm going to try to lose 30 pounds this year and eat way healthier? You can't watch a quick motivational video of a guy who's shredded or a doctor who says you're going to die if you don't lose weight. My drive for that is I want to feel better physically every day. And I want to be more active with my kid every single day, right? So that's my drive. That's so powerful to me and so important that a piece of pizza isn't going to tempt me. You need to understand what your drive is and how you're going to adjust the drive and how you're going to sit there and say, I am going to make this happen at whatever cost possible.
It sounds like it's more of a matter of finding a way to keep yourself held accountable than it is just the pure inspiration, motivation itself. So like on a daily basis, let's say your goal is to eat healthier, lose weight. How do you hold yourself accountable to doing that? Or is there like a step-by-step process or things you do to form those habits every day?
I mean, yeah, so you got to break it down into, essentially mini habits. So one element that I personally am focusing on is fasting, right? So I'm trying to do 20-hour fast, which I've been able to do pretty easily. It's amazing, what your body can do after a few days. Your first few days are pure hell, and then from there, it starts to form a little habit, but find tools to help you, right? So for example, for fasting, there's like a million apps out there that will count how long you have been fasting for. You can look at that and say, nope, time's not up or time's not there. But part of it, in going back to the psychological element behind it, is your drive will make you constantly think about, oh, I'm getting closer to my goals because I'm so driven that nothing is stopping me. To your point, you go and you find and establish these micro habits, and don't try to establish 10. Have your 1 to 2 goals. After you've used our methodology and you're comfortable, then you can maybe up it to 3 or 4. Once you start developing that, once you start seeing that, a lot of things will change and switch in your head. Your thought process will change from this.
Yeah, I want to ask you about environment too. Like you kind of mentioned there, you put
Oh,
yourself in a pizza place. It's going to be hard for you to stay on your diet because there's a temptation and there's desire for pizza that's competing with your desire to be healthy. So, how important is it to put yourself in the right situations, right environments, and to try and, not allow yourself to fall off your goal?
depending on what it is, it may be an easy environment to get out of, or maybe a really hard environment to get out of. If your environment is family, that's much harder of an environment. You can't leave your family, right? So you have to find ways to really understand the importance, and really look and hold yourself accountable to it. Maybe do it in moderation and in stages. So to give fasting for an example, maybe your first fast shouldn't be 18 hours. Maybe your first fast is only 10 hours your first week. And maybe you still have carbs and sugar. And then maybe the second week it's 12-hour fast. So it goes back again to and being aware of your environment and what's around you.
Here's another question. I've experienced this myself too with a lot of goals I've set for myself in the past, where I get myself, driven to do something, and then over time I start to feel a little bit of boredom because things naturally can feel repetitive and tedious in terms of getting towards where you want to go. And I've tried to find ways to gamify things a little bit to make it more rewarding, like along the way. I'm curious what your thoughts are on maybe gamification around your goals.
Absolutely. Gamifying a goal or a habit is a really good psychological way to help that habit stick and form. So take fasting, for example. If you have a fasting calculator on your phone that says, here's how long you have. Well, not in a way, you're kind of gamifying. You're playing that game. You want to reach that number. You're trying to gamify, a different habit. Maybe it's working out or trying to learn something new. Maybe change the environment in which you're doing it in. So if you're working out, you don't need to go to the gym every day to lift weights. Maybe one day is, I'm going to go and play soccer. I'm going to go outside and take a walk around the park. Try different ways to gamify your goal. I know some people love to be super structured. I'm going to do 10 reps of this a day on arms day. And every week on arms day, it's the same thing, just with more weight added each week or whatever it may be. If you can do that, that's great. That's a great form of discipline. But to your point, how you go and how you take it and say, I want to gamify this and make it more interesting is really a good way to be able to bring this to the next level, bring you to the next level in what you're trying to do and what you're trying to reach in terms of your goals, and say, okay, let's actually go and find a way to make this stick.
What are some tools that you think would be very helpful for people to facilitate their drive, whether it's an application or it's, getting a journal and, reflecting on the day and how it went and what you can maybe tweak and make better? What are some tools that maybe come to mind that you could use?
Yeah, I mean, that's so specific on what your goal is or what your drive is. We have some stuff for our community, right? I mean, Next Level is all about like-minded people that want to bring their lives to the next level in every way, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, whether it's health, whether it's products, thought processes, you name it. That's what it's about. What is the stuff that you go to bed thinking about, you wake up thinking about, your first things that come to mind? We have materials and things that help identify those and then help facilitate as a check-in. If you're in our community, all of that's free. There's a lot of really cool elements to this whole entire thing, but that's what our mission is. There's all kinds of different platforms out there. There's all kinds of different apps and different things out there that can help facilitate different specific habits. To give you an example, like fasting, there's all kinds of fasting apps out there, but that's just one tiny example. Go out there, seek out, those materials, seek out a community of others that will help support you all the time.
Yeah, I think this has been a really fascinating episode. Obviously, I don't want to be a loser. I want to succeed with my goals. So, I'm going to be focusing on the drive aspect of things and not just the motivational side too. You think of achieving goals and needing motivation, but at the end of the day, you got to be passionate enough to drive yourself.
Yeah, I mean, our whole society as a world is hardwired to say, rather than go after the root cause, the root problem, take this medication to suppress the negative effect you're feeling. Don't actually treat the wound, just throw a band aid on it. The way that our society has taught so many people to think is so backwards in so many ways. Our community is changing the way that you think about how you want to go after different things in life and pushing and bringing that drive together. And that's so powerful.
Where should people be going to, I guess, subscribe and keep up to date with all the next content coming out for Next Level?
Oh, yeah. Smash the subscribe button. Join our Next Level community on Bump Social. We have a whole community platform of like-minded people that we are bringing our lives to the next level in every way, shape, and form, whether it's products, whether it is habits. That's our community. That's where we're going. That's what we're driving towards. Definitely find us on there. Next Level, NXTLVL. Obviously, we're on all the other major social platforms, but they don't really facilitate community like Bump Social does. So that's really where we push most of, our content, our users to really engage in and join our community.